Hi there, welcome to BoomerTube's podcast, the place for baby boomers to come play with your own age group. I'm Deb, and I'm your host. Before we get into today's show, I want to make sure to let you know that we would love to make your story a part of our podcast. So please visit our website for info on how to submit stories or music. If you have a unique, funny, or poignant anecdote about growing up, your teenage years, music, cars, dating, your parents, anything you think our listeners might enjoy, send it to us. We're boomers, and most of us were raised by the greatest generation, an exceptional group of people who deserve our enduring respect. And with that, here we go. I'm excited about today's show because we have a very special guest with us, Mr. Eric Elison. Eric is a Colorado-based singer-songwriter, Gordon Lightfoot tribute artist, and yes, a baby boomer. He is known for telling stories of nature, mysticism, and romance. Due to his strong connection and love of the West, Eric's fans call him Lightfoot of the Rockies, which I love. Eric's promise to those lucky enough to attend his performances is that he will entertain them, touch their hearts, and move their spirits through song. In 2017, after a career in aerospace, first as a naval aviator and later as an aerospace electronics executive, Eric left the commercial sector to pursue his dream to be a singer-songwriter. He quickly found success due to his incredible voice that many associate with Gordon Lightfoot, Stan Rogers, and Waylon Jennings. In 2020, Eric's talents as a songwriter brought him to the attention of the Nashville Songwriters Association, and he received a coveted invitation to play at the world-famous Bluebird Cafe in Nashville. COVID-19 caused the cancellation of most of his 2021 tour dates, but this irrepressible troubadour stayed home and worked on his craft. Following the advice that his musical idol Gordon Lightfoot gave in a magazine article in the late 80s, Eric practiced and practiced and practiced. He also wrote some great songs. These songs form the basis of a new show and album that Eric has titled Starlit Sky. Eric hopes to take this new show to performing arts centers in 2022. Until then, he's begun playing a mix of treasured Lightfoot tunes and original music at house concerts in the Intermountain West. With that, welcome to the show, Eric.
Well, hi, Deb, and thank you for having me.
We're excited to have you. After a couple of failed attempts at finally getting together, we made it happen.
Yeah, it's taken some doing, but I'm glad I'm finally on the show.
Yes, thank you. Well, let's start. I'm curious. I want to know what inspired you to pursue a career in music.
Well, as a friend of mine from high school said, I have a very interesting third act. And as you mentioned, I started out in the Navy flying an aircraft, and then from there went into business. But, I got to that point, and I think all of us who are baby boomers do, where you think, what would I really like to do? Mm-hmm. So, back in 2017, I just got to the point where something I wanted to do and had always wanted to do. I'll tell you a vignette. When I was going to college, I went to college on a ROTC scholarship, and I had this wonderful class advisor who had just returned from Vietnam. He was a Marine major, highly decorated, and he was my class advisor. And he said, "Eric, what are you going to major in?" And I said, "Sir, I'm going to major in music." And he looked at me with a somewhat puzzled look and said, "Son, we don't want you to entertain them. We just want you to kill them." And that was my introduction to the harsh realities of the world I had entered into. Yeah. But, fast forward to 2017, and I had reached that point where I could pretty much do what I wanted to do, and I decided to follow my dream in music. My mom had trained as an opera singer, but gave that up to raise a family.
Wow.
And I just thought, I really enjoyed playing when I was in college. And I played at various coffee houses and bars in college. And I thought, I'm going to go back to that. So that's why I went into music.
So you were already used to being on a stage when you decided to really give this a go. You had done it before in a sense.
Yeah, I had, but not a steady diet of it. Certainly, I had the great influence of Sister Gerard, the Sisters of Mercy, and my music teacher. I went to a little grade school in Jacksonville, Sacred Heart, and Sister Gerard was our music teacher for the entire school.
Wow.
And thankfully, she picked me on several occasions to perform in various school performances, and those still stand out in my mind as big events.
Wow. And for so many people, that's where it starts, isn't it? That early in school. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Why Gordon Lightfoot?
Well, it's interesting. When I was in high school, I had a friend in high school that I was sweet on, and I think there were at least 10 other guys that were sweet on her. But I had the occasion to, after school, to go to her house and listen to a new record she had bought while her mom baked us some wonderful chocolate chip cookies I'll never forget.
Oh my goodness.
I think I ate way too many that day, but she put this album on, and it turned out to be Gordon Lightfoot's Don Quixote album.
Oh my.
And the minute I heard that album, I was just astounded at the quality of the playing and Gordon Lightfoot's voice, the quality of the songs, and I was hooked. And then later on, when I was a senior, he came out with his Sundown album, which is a favorite among many people today.
Yes.
Yeah, you remember.
Oh yeah, I was right there with you.
Yeah, yeah. So at any rate, I had an affinity for Lightfoot just because of the quality of his music and his vocal. Our voices are very similar. And when I went to college, I as I said, I played coffee houses and bars. So his songs were A, easy to learn, and B, sounded great. Most people knew them; they could sing along. And that, along with folks like Jackson Browne, and I was in Florida, so Jimmy Buffett, those guys were really big back then. But Gordy was had a special place in my heart, and I just continued to play his music throughout the years. Funny thing though, when I decided to make music a full-time thing, I went to Nashville and recorded some of my own songs, and my producer, after passing around my EP to several folks, called me and he said, "Hey, several folks have said you ought to become a Lightfoot tribute artist. Your voice sounds so similar to Lightfoot." Oh. And one thing led to another, and I decided to take him up on his advice.
Well, I think it was a wise decision, because the first time I heard you sing, I couldn't believe it. I was just captivated, because you're right. And you're right about Lightfoot's music. It's just, he's one of those artists that just draws you in. He's so unique. His lyrics are just inspiring to me as a fledgling songwriter myself.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
We did not know that about you, Deb.
Yeah, not about me, but I'll have to share some stuff with you, because, it really grabs you. And it has, I'm like you. I remember hearing those from decades ago and just being completely mesmerized by his music. And speaking of being mesmerized, where do you find the inspiration for your songwriting? I know you've written several pieces that are yours.
So, it's writing is one of those things, and I'm not unique. Sometimes it's just pure imagination, daydreaming. Other times it's dreaming at night. I've had songs come to me as a result of waking from a dream, and the first thing I do when that happens to me is I get out of bed and I start writing. I write what I saw, what I heard. I actually hear both lyrics and music in my head when I'm sleeping. Oh, wow. Occasionally, it's something as simple as having a conversation with my wife of, now 42 years. We were talking one time. It was just sort of funny. Here's an example. We were out at lunch, and we're talking, and you know how it's sort of funny, but you slip into these moments where you suddenly talk about something that's very deep.
Yes.
And I remember saying, well, I believe in angels and such. And the minute I said that, I thought, well, there's a song.
There's a lyric.
And I went home and wrote a song. And it's just, so you never really know where you're going to find inspiration for songs. But sometimes I think they've always been there, and I've just, finally tuned in. I listened and I wrote it down.
Yeah. And I think a big part of that is being cognizant enough to recognize it when it hits you. If you say to yourself, "Ooh, that there's something there," no matter where it comes from, just, "Ooh, I need to capture that. I cannot let it go." I think
and I think that's very much the case as a writer. I think most people who write either for a living or as a hobby realize that it is something. When you get that spark of inspiration, you have to attend to it. You have to go do it right away. It is. It's kind of funny, but I feel like if I'm not writing, then I'm not a songwriter. So for me, it's something I do all the time. But you get that inspiration, and then you go to work. Only it's not work; it's joy. It's a great experience to write.
Yeah, it is. It's very gratifying, actually. Although I don't have your expertise, it's when you finish it and you sit back and you know that there's something there. It's a wonderful feeling of accomplishment, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that we had discussed maybe going in a little more depth about Paradise is Burning, and I think that's one of the songs you will play. Mm-hmm. But there's a perfect example of a song that came to me as a result of a phone call in the middle of the night. Not kidding you. I received a phone call in the middle of the night from a friend who told me she's in Southern California, and she said, "Eric, pray for me. I'm surrounded by fire." Man. And as it turned out, she survived. She spent the night in the parking lot of a shopping center while all around her was on fire because of the wildfires in Southern California a couple years ago. This was following the burning of Paradise, and I woke up that night. You can't go back to sleep after a call like that.
No, you can't.
And I thought about it, and I thought, well, what can I do? And I thought, well, I can write a song. And so that was the inspiration for Paradise is Burning. And just once you've heard someone with that fear and concern in their voice because of wildfire, and you understand what the cause of why the West is burning up, why our climate is changing, I as a songwriter, I just felt like that's something I could do. And so that's why I wrote that song.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, because I was going to ask you about that before we played it. How profound. I mean, for her to call you, and knowing there wasn't really a thing you could do at the time, you had to get that out. That was just one of those opportunities. My goodness.
Yeah.
Man. Speaking of opportunities, I have been dying to hear about playing at the Bluebird. What was that like? I want details, man.
Yeah. So I'll tell you, it was everything I thought it would be. First of all, just finding out I'm going to be playing there, right? Just an amazing thing. I was on a cloud for about a week because as a songwriter, I mean, really, that's one of the handful of places as a songwriter you want to play.
Yeah.
And so then there was a lot of preparation before that. I'm trying to figure out, okay, what songs am I going to play for people? Do you know them well enough to perform them in that kind of environment? Because no matter how many times you performed, when you perform in a setting like that, it's there's this little extra bit of pressure. So
yes.
A lot of preparation goes into preparing for a performance like that.
Oh, yeah, that's a once in a lifetime thing.
Yeah, exactly. Well, some people play it more often. I'll consider myself, I consider myself blessed for having played it once. If I get another opportunity, then I'll be twice blessed.
Okay.
But yeah, but at any rate, so going there, I mean, it's no small feat. And we had a family friend who wanted to accompany us. And a lot of support from other musicians from all around the country, wishing me well, and finally getting to Nashville, and then the night of the show, I remember it was sort of a cool, drizzly night in Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
It was in February, so it was dark when I arrived. But what shocked me was the fact that there were like 100 people standing out in the rain waiting to get inside. And and as I approached the door, it's just people had that certain look in their eye, like, "Oh, we're meeting a celebrity," and I'm just, I'm just a simple singer-songwriter. So I was looking behind me, wondering, well, who's coming? And at any rate, it was a magical evening. I got in there, and the setting was it's called Songwriters in the Round. So there were 3 other songwriters in there with me. We all sat in the center, and I don't know if you've ever seen the Bluebird Cafe, but it's really kind of a small place.
Yes, it is. It's small.
And yeah, it's small, but it's amazing the number of tables and chairs they cram in there. And so we came in, and they had all the sound system already set up. So all I had to do was sit down with my guitar and tune up, and wait for the show to begin, get introduced, and start playing. But what was interesting was I just had that sense of this is one of those peak moments in your life. And, I was smart enough to take the time to savor it. And also I got up and I walked around and talked to people. COVID was just, it was early February. So
Yeah.
COVID was more than a rumor, but it wasn't an overriding concern. But I was
Right.
able to get around the room and talk to people and find out what their stories were, some of them, and tell them a little bit about myself. I really enjoy playing to a room when I feel like I know people that are in the room.
Yes.
So after being able to say hi to folks, the show started, and we played, and I think the show went on for about an hour and a half.
Oh, really? Did the 3 of you take turns, or did you have your own
Yes.
show?
No, we all took turns.
Okay.
So that's why they call it Songwriters in the Round.
Ah.
So each one takes a turn, tells a little bit about the song, and then plays that song. And it's really kind of a great way to do it, because it gives you time to rest between the songs. And what's really kind of funny is you go in there with a song list or a set list of songs you're going to play, but then someone else plays a song, and you think, well, I've got a song that's like that, but it's a little different. Maybe I'm going to play that one instead. So it's kind of fun. It's as a songwriter, it's the kind of thing you really enjoy doing, feeding off of other artists.
Yeah, and I think that's
but
the
it was
most
it was
fun.
just a great night.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. How many songs did you end up doing? Do you even remember?
I think I played 4 songs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
In the great scheme of things, in comparison with, let's say, a 2-hour gig where you might play anywhere from 18 to 22, 23, 24 songs, it's not a lot of songs, but it really it really puts a lot of emphasis on the importance of that song and how you present it, how you perform it. I don't know. I can't say anything more than it was fun, and it was an evening I'll never forget.
Oh, I can't even imagine. But you know, you're right, because not only is it more than one artist, but it gives you, like you said, time to kind of regroup, listen to the other artists, think about the songs, and break it up a little bit for people. So in that respect, it's a very unique venue. So, and very personal, I would think, sort of. Although there's a lot of people there, you know, it
Yeah.
kind of just seems like it's more like a fun get-together type of a deal.
Yeah, it's a very intimate setting, and you know, you feel a little bit like Cinderella at the ball. You're a little sad when it's over, but at the same time, it's fun while it lasts.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And I have to ask. This just occurred to me. I don't suppose anybody videotaped that.
Yeah, so it was kind of it's one of those things that they really frown
I
upon
was wondering.
video in there because a lot of these songs are so new. They may not even be copywritten,
Uh-huh.
and artists want to
Yeah.
protect their works.
Yeah, I wasn't sure about that, but I thought it was worth asking the question.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll talk about, if you would, a little bit about your project Starlit Sky. That sounds very romantic and fun.
So it's one of those, you know, it's the title Starlit Sky invites a lot of imagination, doesn't it? You
Yes.
wonder, okay, well, what's the setting of the starlit
Yeah.
sky? But in this case, the starlit sky refers to the skies that we have out here in the West, and I just sort of I see there's a continuum. So okay, first of all, understand I'm here in the West,
Yeah.
and I'm very struck by the culture, the geography of the West, and I just decided I was going to write something that would honor the indigenous people, you know, that once inhabited this place in abundance and who really possessed it until European settlers came. I just thought, you know, we're all joined together through time under this starlit sky of ours, and it turns as a great wheel turns in the sky, and I think we're joined through our history and our joy and suffering through the mingling of blood and culture. And you see it going on right now with respect to how our cultures are melding.
Yeah.
Our reliance on the environment, particularly here in the West, we're very exposed to such things as drought and fire,
Yeah.
avalanche. You know, the environment can be really tough on us. And we're also dependent upon the goodness of Mother Earth. And so I started writing some songs that dealt with the plight of the native peoples, the historic trauma that they suffered with what happened to the forest, the animals here in the West over time as the West was settled. And now we all face this common calamity that we call climate change. And so, again, as a songwriter, I thought I could write some songs that touch on many of those elements, and the unifying part of that is that we all reside under the same sky. And so my vision is to bring this out more so than just simply an album, a collection of songs, but to really create a show that could involve spoken word, dance, and art, to try to tie everything together and to communicate to the audience what I'm trying to tell them.
Oh wow.
So it's a large undertaking. It's
Yeah.
a little bit of a it's certainly more than I've ever attempted to do. But what the heck? Anything that's worth doing should be difficult and should be challenging, and I'm up for it. So right now the show is, or this project is in what I would call artistic and financial development. I plan on writing some grant applications, looking for sources of funding, you know, sources that deal with the humanities, and hopefully also involving members of the indigenous artistic community as well.
Sure.
To help me bring this project about.
Yeah. I kind of envision it as you were talking about it with, you know, a stage and lighting and an ongoing story. That's fascinating.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a lot more than just some songs.
Yeah. Oh, no kidding. Wow. Well, you're going to have to keep us posted because this sounds like a very exciting undertaking. A lot of work.
Well, I definitely will, and I hope in 2022 to bring at least portions of the show to various venues. And it may take longer in order to produce the entire show as I have it envisioned. But
Sure.
again, anything worth doing is going to take a little bit of time and effort.
Worth doing well. Absolutely. Yeah, I'd be really excited to follow this. Is there going to be something on your website as far as this when you get rolling with this thing, so people can kind of see where you're at with it and what's going on?
Yeah. So what I intend to do, I'm in the process now of looking for collaborators and fleshing out the artistic vision for the show, looking for money that will, unfortunately, when you start involving professionals in various organizations, you need to pay people so that they can do what they do best.
Yeah.
And so I will definitely be sharing information on it as the project evolves. And if people want to learn more about it, I would just simply say they can follow my Facebook page. I'm at ericelisonfolk.com. And I also have a web page, Eric Elison, that's with one L, Elison. So Eric Elison, ERICELISON.com. And that's my web page. Or follow me on Facebook, and that way you can stay up with what's happening. Also, you can see some videos that I put up there from time to time. And the other thing I'm really excited about is in 2022, I plan to do a cross-country tour in the U.S. and hopefully Canada as well. And so if there's anybody out there, audience members who would like to host a house concert, I'd love to hear from them. They can reach me through my website or through Facebook. Obviously, if anyone's interested in supporting the Starlit Sky Project, feel free to get in touch, and
Sure.
We can discuss how you might be able to help.
Super. And we will make sure to include your website and all your other contact information in the show notes for the podcast. So if anybody needs that information, absolutely. We'll make sure to get that up there. So we'll make getting in contact with you as easy as possible.
Thanks, Tim.
Oh, yeah. Well, speaking of that, and speaking of your music, excuse me, we have one of your original songs to share, and it's the one you were talking about, Paradise is Burning. And since we've already kind of gotten the backstory as to how that came about, let's go ahead and plug that one in and let folks listen to Paradise is Burning.
Was a hot, dry summer through the mountain west. No rain since early May, it's never been like this. Trees, shrubs, and grasses, they have all gone brown. Our voltage wire falls to the ground. Wildfires sprang to life and topped the rocky ridge. Gobbled up the forest, there was no stopping it. Fire captain saw the danger, sounded the alarm. He knew that many people would surely come to harm. Paradise is burning, heaven's turned to hell. Paradise is burning. Shout it from the rooftop, take it to the street and ring your fire bell. Neighbors called their neighbors saying, make a run for it. Fires all around us, grab your kids and get gripped by fear and driving blind through the smoking flame. Dear God, don't let us die, hear a young mother pray. Carried on the gale force when the fire raced through town. was dark as midnight, homes burning down, flying embers, soot and ash filled the autumn air, and 86 were taken, lost their lives there. Paradise is burning, heaven's turned to hell. Paradise is burning, shout it from the rooftop, take it to the street and ring your fire bell. Fire died and lawyers tried to fix the blame, but that won't stop the warming or bring back needed rain. For man has changed the climate, will paradise be lost? Will we change how we're living, or will the devil take the cost? Paradise is burning, heaven's turned to hell. Paradise is burning, shout it from the rooftop, take it to the street and ring your fire bell. There's a red flag flying from the fire tower. Mother Earth is moaning, this is now the hour.
Thanks so much for sitting down with us today, Eric. It has been a real pleasure to finally get together with you and have this visit. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, other than I'm excited to hear from any of your listeners who want to reach out. And again, as I said, they can find me on the links we discussed.
Okay.
And I really appreciate it when folks express both interest and or support for the music. At this point, that's my mission in life, and everything I can do to spread that. You know, I really try to entertain, to touch hearts, and to move spirits. I enjoy doing it. That's my mission right now.
Yeah.
So, Deb, thank you so much for having me. I really have enjoyed your podcast over the last year.
Oh.
So, at any rate, I'm glad to be on it.
Oh, well, thank you so much. And again, I'm sad that it took this long, but we finally got it figured out. And as a longtime listener now of yours, I can tell people this guy has got the coolest voice, and he's very engaging, and every song is different. And that's the one thing that gets me about different artists. You can tell that they really work on their craft because every song is different. I love that. And each one has a story. And you're a wonderful storyteller, by the way. Gord's got nothing on you.
Yeah, well, you're too kind, but I am in awe of Mr. Lightfoot. Trust me.
Me too. Well, listeners, we love to hear and play original music here. So if you're listening and you're an artist, I hope this inspires you to send us yours. We like to keep it classic, like rock, country, or the blues or folk. But if you've got a tune representing another genre or an instrumental, we'd love to hear those too. You'll find guidelines for submitting music to us at BoomerTube.com. Please make it a recording with a group or an instrument. Put on your best voice and let us help you showcase your work, because you never know who might be listening. And as we mentioned at the top of the program, we would love to make your story a part of our podcast. I would love to hear from you. And if you've enjoyed the podcast, it would mean a lot to us if you would share it with your friends and family. Once again, our sincere thanks to our guest, Eric Elison, for spending some time with us today and for sharing part of his musical journey with us. Again, the website is BoomerTube.com, and you can email me at deb@BoomerTube.com. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time, come play with your own age group. Deb out.